You seem uncomfortable. Do I make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
Oh, howdy-ho, listeners. We've had a doozy of a day. There we were, minding our own business, just doing some recording around the house, when kids started killing themselves all over our podcast. Welcome to Pleasers,
And Punishers.
where we talk about movies that people love to watch,
Movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
and all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
And I'm May. I'm glad I'm not hung like a bear, Schultz.
And today, what we got here is pretty nasty.
And what is that, Caitlin?
It is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Woo!
This feels like such a good movie to talk about for our first proper movie episode, and I love it.
Yeah, it's
It's so good.
pretty much, I think, spoiler alert, definition of a crowd pleaser here.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why we agreed that it would be our first movie. So tell me a little bit more about it.
Yes, well, this was released January 10th, 2010. It was directed by Eli Craig, who is Sally Field's son.
Well, we like him. We really, really like him.
Yes. Oh. Yes, yeah, uh-huh. Right over my head.
Pulling out an old reference there.
I caught up eventually. All right, well. It is also written by Eli Craig and Morgan Jurgensen.
That is quite a name.
Yes. Who I couldn't really find much else that he's done.
Did he write Clown in a Cornfield? Did he co-wrote the screenplay with Eli Craig, or is he not involved?
I don't believe he's involved.
Okay. Well, Morgan, your work on this movie is good.
You're a very funny man, Morgan Jurgensen. You know who else is
now,
funny?
I'm just thinking about Smitty Werber Jagenman Jensen from SpongeBob. He was number one.
We are not going to get into it, but I've actually really never watched SpongeBob.
All right, I need a new co-host. Just kidding. All right, so I'm not that funny, but who else is funny?
Well, Tyler Labine.
Yes.
Yes. I think I wrote it incorrectly. Tyler Labine, who plays Dale, Alan Tudyk, Juilliard train Alan Tudyk as Tucker, Katrina Bowden as Allison, and Jesse Moss as Chad.
I like that you wrote Chad with like 6 A's, so it's Chad. All right, well, let's find out more about the movie when we get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim all your life.
All right, this is where we tell you what happens in the film. Caitlin, take it away.
All right. Well, our movie opens in media res on an intrepid female journalist, played by director Eli Craig's wife. Eli Craig is also the cameraman in this scene. Unfortunately, she and her cameraman, oh, look, I put it there again, excellent, are quickly dispatched before we go back in time. We cut to a shot stolen from Without a Paddle. It could be Wrong Turn, hard to say, and an SUV that is filled with an absurdly large amount of college kids who are just there for cannon fodder.
And like, how big is this SUV? Because there are so many kids in this fucking car.
Like sardines. And they're almost all awful.
Also, I love when one of them pulls out a joint And it's like he only pulls one joint out of his shirt pocket, and you're like, is that all you brought for everyone for the whole trip? Because I think you're going to need more.
There's two, I think there's like 8 of them.
That sounds about right.
And a nightmare going on vacation with 8 of your friends. So that alone is scary enough. However, our college kids make it to a gas station, which is straight out of Name a Movie from the 2000s. Could be any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And our college kids, though, they feel very unsafe by their unfamiliar surroundings and the obviously face-eating, inbred cannibal hillbillies. Spoiler alert, they aren't cannibals. They are actually our articulate, affable, and seriously extraordinarily naive protagonists. Beautiful Tucker and Dale. All they want is a vacation home. It's a pure and beautiful dream, and it'll be dashed like so many baby bird eggs on a sidewalk. And on their way to Tucker's newly acquired Deadite dream house. It is like the Evil Dead cabin, but it was directed by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Sawyer family.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Definitely someplace I would like to go on a vacation. Actually reminds me a lot of the vacations I went on as a child, but that is besides the point. So, on their way to this gorgeous vacation home, they are pulled over by a trope that is pulling double duty. He is both a cop and a harbinger. It's very exciting. And he tells them that there's nothing up there but pain and suffering on an unimaginable scale.
Sounds great. Let's go.
Exactly. And they're just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't we want that? Ooh. So, as the college kids tell scary stories around the campfire, we're treated to this excellent flashback scene where Chad explains the sordid history of the area, which includes murder. But there's no time to dwell on that because back in the present, college kid, I think number 4, brilliantly suggests that they take off all their clothes and jump into the water, which usually solves everything.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Skinny dipping never hurt anybody.
No. It will hurt Allison later, but we're not going there yet. Because before anyone can really have any fun, we have to get chatted on, like, really hard. He's just chatting all over the place. This guy sucks, and not in the good way like you want.
No.
Just like the chattiest Chad. I can't really
to
think.
Ever Chad.
Yeah, of a more Chad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wearing this bright teal popped collar polo shirt that has white piping on it. Sir.
Say that 10 times fast.
Mm-hmm. I just want to rip it off of him. At least want to pull the collar down and then push him into a ditch. Anyway.
But not in a hot way.
So he makes everyone, particularly our girl Allison, very uncomfortable. And Allison trusts her instincts and gets out of there, girl. And then she falls into the lake in her underwear and knocks herself out. She's going to do this so many times. I think Giles would be really concerned, but also kind of proud.
One of these days, she's going to wake up in a coma.
I wouldn't doubt it. The nice thing is, though, Dale Consent is Key Dobson plays a, again, trope alert, good Samaritan. And he and Tucker end up rescuing Allison, who is apparently terrified of pancakes. She's not. Spoiler alert. It's gonna be okay. But bacon is also good. So I wouldn't be too sad about it, Allison. While Allison and Dale clear up many a misunderstanding, Tucker is outside doing his best leather face at the disco in an attempt to thwart a hive of bees. Oh, God. The skeptic kid looks behind him and gets speared right in the guts by a tree.
Ah, poor work shirt kid.
Oh, work shirt kid.
Also, I never remember any of these kids' names except Chad and Allison, and I think that's by design because it doesn't fucking matter.
No.
And it's so funny.
I forget there's so many of them at one point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we also have, I don't know, college kid number 3, who also manages to spear himself in the guts. Right above Dale, it's a whole thing. We have college kid, I'm number 7? Sure. Does a swan dive into a wood chipper and explodes into a beautiful volcano of college kid blood carnage.
I love the shot where the blood sprays all over the blonde girl who was in Final Destination 3. She's one of the tanning bed girls.
Of course she was. So many Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Through the power of white privilege, while dragging around half a guy, scared shitless, and having that doozy of a day, Tucker and Dale managed to convey their side of the story to our newly arrived policeman, who is almost immediately nailed by Chekhov's not up to code support beam.
But nailed. How's he still walking around right now?
After the cop is dispatched in pretty excellent fashion, we lose college kid 568 due to his inability to handle a firearm, and this leads to a standoff between bullet and nail gun. Pew, pew, pew. And while they're attempting to free Jangers the dog, Tucker commits the horror sin of he looked behind him while he was running. Tucker, how could you?
Rookie mistake. Clearly, he's never been in a horror movie.
No. We have Chad Body Perm Van Chaddington continuing to be a rotted cunt, and we find out the dark and terrible root of his hillbilly prejudice. Dale deflects any sort of blame, and the world's least productive therapy session comes to an end in a literal firestorm. We lose the remaining college kids, and Chad is transformed into evil, who emerges... Evil! Who emerges from the smoldering embers of our dearly departed vacation home. He's all charred to bits.
Yep. He's like a hot dog that didn't get turned on the grill.
The now bowling fingerless Tucker, who does not die, they try to trick us. So these two have a loving moment of male friendship. It's very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad goes full-time, old-timey cartoon villain. He's holding Allison hostage, tied to a conveyor saw table. Table saw. Thank you so much, May, who put that in there, because I said saw table blade thingy. I could not.
I may be high femme, but I know my tools.
Chad has the table saw, and Dale goes part Ash from Evil Dead, part Leatherface, and then I called him Ashface, which I found very funny and stupid. But these two engage in a chainsaw pipe fight, and they free our final surprise farm girl. So Chad's burned up butt finds out that he's half hillbilly. Dale and Allison luck the fuck out and find Chad's weakness, because we did not mention earlier that Chad has been carrying around an inhaler this entire time and pointedly let us know that he is allergic to it's chamomile tea, and it's in an office.
Yeah, of course. Everyone who works at a sawmill drinks chamomile tea, don't you know?
You have to relax somehow after that incessant buzzing.
Yeah.
Well, there's another way to use it, and that is to defeat Chad, which they do. And he falls out a window, I think. Yes.
Yeah, he falls out the window and crashes onto the ground. Reminds me of Prom Night a little bit. Or I guess I should say when I watched Prom Night for the first time earlier this year, it reminded me of this.
And good news, then everyone gets to go bowling. Except for Tucker, because he's in the hospital because he was attacked by bees, tortured by college kids, and shot.
Mm-hmm.
But he got some new fingers.
I love that gag. It's so cute.
Dale and Allison then kiss instead of helping a woman who has been knocked out by a bowling ball. And we find out that the moral of the story is helping people can either lead to you finding the love of your life or you get murdered. Everything is possible!
Woo!
The end.
All right. And that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So, Caitlin, how many times have you seen this movie, and do you remember anything about the first time you saw it?
I could not tell you how many times I've seen this movie. I've been in I'm going to say casual throuple with this movie and my partner for a while. Kind of like a long distance thing. Like you meet them every once in a while and you hook up. But that's mostly because my partner, Brian, also does not like to rewatch movies. I may have... Yeah, it's...
Interesting. I don't think I knew that.
It's very bizarre to me personally.
Yeah, my dad won't watch a movie more than once in a 12-month period. So it was like, if we watched something and I wanted to rewatch it again, it would have to be at least a year.
It was either on your own time or it was I had to wait a year. There was one year for Christmas, I had said something to Brian about a movie we should watch and goes, well, we watched that last year. Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So now we like to mix it up.
Okay.
However, this is one of Brian's favorite movies. And I watched it. I don't actually remember if I watched it for the first time prior to watching it with him. Blacked that out. I blacked that out. Like I just drank it out of my system. I blocked it out. Brian used to live in this like closet-sized room in a house with 4 other young men.
That sounds like hell.
Oh, I called it a hell house.
Mm-hmm.
There were ants.
Oh, cool.
Which happens in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's dirty. But when you're, let's say in your early to mid 20s, kind of real first time outside of college, not being with your folks in the big city.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really usually did not go downstairs and did my best and never use the bathroom. Ryan keeps things very tidy, so at least there was that. Yeah. Anyway, so we're curled up on his bed. It was probably freezing because we also couldn't turn on the heat a lot of the times because we were poor. We had no money.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't turn on the heat all the time and just all curled up watching Tucker and Dale going, oh, you like horror comedies? You haven't seen this one? How? It's like the ultimate horror comedy. So that would have been in 2011, so very, very soon after it came out.
Okay. I don't remember exactly when I watched this for the first time, but I immediately fell in love with it. It's such, as you said, an excellent horror comedy because it utilizes tropes from horror movies in very clever ways, sometimes subverting them, sometimes just handing them to you in the usual way. And it kind of keeps you on your toes throughout because you never know, like, oh, okay, is this real? Is this not real? What's going to happen here? And I think that's very clever. And I've watched this movie so many times. I think I've already watched it 3 times this calendar year. And I am sure I'll watch it at least 1 or 2 more times because it's fun. And I love fun movies. And
I did it for as many times as I've watched it. I never noticed that they went up to the cabin. They went up to their vacation home on Memorial Day weekend.
Which makes it even funnier that this came out in January.
Yes.
It's like how Hocus Pocus came out in fucking, what was it, July or something?
My mind absolutely I said January, and I absolutely thought June.
Well, speaking of calendars, let's discuss the film's historical context with our next section, Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself, because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
All right, Caitlin, what was going on in movies at this time?
So, doing some of the research for this episode, it was really interesting to me that the preceding decade, the 2000s, obviously, it was known for horror remakes, J-horror, and the torture porn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be pulling some from Millennial Nasties, analyzing a decade of brutal horror film violence by Ariel Power Schaub. She takes the term torture porn and says, let's put it to bed and start calling them Millennial Nasties after the video nasties of the UK in the 70s.
Which I love.
Oh, I love it so much. I think that we should absolutely all adopt it because so much of that, it wasn't reveling as much in just the gore of it. Many of these pieces had... Well, some of them were definitely reveling in the gore of it. I should take that back.
Yeah, I would say Hostel and a few others definitely were. And
Devil's Rejects.
Which I've never
House
seen
of a
and
Thousand
never
Corpses.
will. Yeah, but then you have movies like the Saw series, which at points does revel in the gore, but also has some very interesting underlying themes. I just rewatched Saw 4 last night, and I really warmed to it on this watch because there's a lot going on there, and it was just kind of fascinating me, like, wow, there's actually more social commentary in this one than I remembered. So they weren't all just about blood, guts, and punishment.
And, it was one of those, it was that decade so much of this was such a response to George W. Bush being elected. Very much this idea of like urban versus rural, just rural, which by the way is one of my least favorite words in my mouth, but really exacerbated a lot of those tensions, particularly in terms of like wedge issues, social issues, instead of necessarily policy issues. And so we are coming out of this decade where we saw some incredibly mean movies. And I watched so many of these movies in preparation. At one point, I'm like, I think my brain might be melted by rural stereotypes. We have things like that are heavily referenced. The Evil Dead 2, Deliverance, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But when we get to the 70s and the 80s ones I'm referring to currently, and then we get to the 2000s, and something happened in 2003, and part of me is wondering if it did have to do with the next year was a presidential election.
Probably.
Because even though Cabin Fever technically was 2002, I believe the theatrical release in the U.S. was 2003. It was Cabin Fever, House of a Thousand Corpses, Wrong Turn, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All were released
the remake? Yeah.
in 2003.
Interesting. I'm wondering if that does have to do with... There was a lot of liberal hand-wringing and finger-pointing at the rural areas of the country, and W winning the election in 2000, and it definitely...
Stealing the election in 2000.
Right. Yeah. And it definitely created a sort of cultural divide, or deepened the cultural divide between urban and rural communities, and... It's an unfortunate side effect from liberal reactionaries who are so quick to blame people for being uneducated and not understanding things. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, there are some people like that. But again, that doesn't mean everyone is like that. And it also doesn't mean that people who live in rural areas are cannibals or torturous murderers or anything like that.
Right. And I even as I obviously made the joke about white privilege earlier, it's also important to note that people of a lower economic status, white people of a lower economic status, do also experience very much under-policing, where they just can't get people to come into their community. Police don't care. They don't follow up. And then if they do, there can be a lot of then over-policing, which is why dun, 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 police reform helps everyone. It's an excellent, excellent thing that can happen. So just a reminder there.
ACAB.
ACAB. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's burn it down and start a new system. That's our fun reminder for today. But yes, we're coming out of just that. And then in the preceding years, I had House of Wax, The Devil's Rejects, which is obviously the sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses, and then The Hills Have Eyes. And this is so many movies of kids going on a vacation or a road trip of some sort and getting eaten.
Yeah, I don't think Jason eats them, but you also have the Friday the 13th remake in 2009, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and I think I just figured out that part of the reason I don't like that movie is because they treat it more like hillbilly horror than what the original kind of theme of Friday the 13th was.
Right, which would be more of camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to say, as we were talking about the rural-urban divide, Eli Roth and Rob Zombie are both from Massachusetts.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Huh.
Rob Zombie was raised in Massachusetts. I just want everyone to know that.
Well, at least Rob Zombie seems like a pretty decent guy, even if I hate his movies. Eli Roth is not a decent guy, and he can go fuck off into the sun.
The moral of the story is don't help people, that's for suckers, and don't trust anyone. I'm kidding. That is absolutely not the moral of this story. Because Tucker and Dale feels kind of like the end of the millennial nasty era. Because it's so sweet. Our heroes are so nice.
Yeah, and they don't fall into a lot of the tropes of so many horror movie characters. Dale is one of the most pure, kind, and empathetic people to ever grace a movie screen. And I love that Tucker, even though he is very much a dude, he also loves his friend so much. They're like queer platonic partners.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. And the movie's not really subtle about that. And it also doesn't really make any gay jokes other than when it looks like Dale is going down on Tucker. And that's not funny because it's gay. It's funny because they spilled beer and one of them ended up with their shirt off to try to clean it up as they got pulled over by a cop. That's why it's funny.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, this joke absolutely works if you sub out a person of any gender in that other role. It is pretty funny, regardless of kind of the dynamic there.
Yeah.
So it works. They're extremely emotionally vulnerable with each other.
And they're also very direct with each other. And in that scene you mentioned in the synopsis where they have that really heartfelt conversation, Tucker admits to Dale that he lied about letting him catch more frogs when they were kids because he was kind of embarrassed, and he thinks Dale is a much better person, much more capable and smart than he gives himself credit for. And like seeing a dude in a movie say that to his best friend without having to go no homo is so fucking refreshing.
Yeah, at no point either does like any of the other characters, so Allison included, like nobody comments on it. It is not seen as a negative at all. They're so sweet, and they just think the best of everyone.
Yeah, even when they're trying to figure out what's going on with all these kids, Dale's like, "Did any of your friends take medication? Because I think they may have forgotten to take it." He's not like, "Oh, these assholes are trying to kill us." He's like,
Concerned.
like, yeah, he's concerned. He genuinely cares. And what other character is going to be like that? It's so sweet and, again, refreshing to have something that different.
And it was so refreshing after all of those movies that just featured people being literally drugged through muck. That we get to see something that is so perfectly tailored to these tropes, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, and then you have some stuff on here about movies that seem to have been inspired by this. So do you want to talk about a couple of those?
So obviously there's Cabin in the Woods, which is kind of its own. It's doing something different, but was also a response to torture porn. And since it is a movie about kids going into the woods, and but that's commenting a lot more on us as audiences.
Right. Cabin in the Woods feels very metatextual,
Yes.
whereas this does not.
This it feels lived in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies from 2022. How do we all communicate? Poorly? And then we all
Right.
accidentally kill each other. Spoiler alert for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yes, that's miscommunication, the movie, because no one in that movie knows how to communicate honestly, openly, and directly. And then when they do, it's so hurtful to the other people that they end up in horrible situations, and it's hilarious.
And is another vacation movie. Group of college kids on a vacation. I'm just, that vet part still gets me every time. We have The Blackening, which
I still have not seen.
you haven't seen it?
No, it's on my list.
I love that movie so much. I want Dwayne Perkins to like write everything. So he was one of the talking heads, I think, on one of Shudder's shows, talking about Tucker and Dale.
Nice.
And I went, of course. So because The Blackening takes the trope of a group of friends going out into the woods, but instead of it being from a perspective that we typically see as our main characters, it's flipped. So we get all of our characters are black. And it is funny.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it, so I'm excited to watch it.
So really interesting. I hadn't heard about this prior, and just came out. So there is a South Korean remake of Tucker and Dale, and it's weird, y'all.
Wait, did you watch it?
Oh, so this is kind of wild. It has not been released in the US.
Okay.
However, I went to New Orleans recently, and it was one of the movies you could watch on the plane, on your phone.
Interesting.
And
okay.
my brain exploded because I went, well, what timing? Because it was literally just like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. What's it called again?
Handsome Guys.
Handsome Guys. I like that. Instead of like two names versus evil, it's Handsome Guys.
It's Handsome Guys.
Yeah.
There's definitely some cultural stuff that doesn't mesh well with my cultural stuff. And basically, they're trying to convince us our two main characters are ugly, and that's why people don't like them.
But they're not.
And they're doing, like, they twist their faces like hit that T hard. They twist their faces to like scrunch them up to be like, I'm ugly. It's just like, what?
That's kind of hilarious.
It's very, very. And now I'm thinking about it through a hilarious lens. At the time, I was like, what is happening? I was also on an airplane. And my headphones were quickly dying. So I will say I only saw half the movie.
Okay.
But because these tropes, I feel like, are so specifically American, that there's a whole different storyline that has to do with Satan.
Oh, cool. Okay. So it's not just a remake. It's very much its own thing, starting with similar source material.
Yes. And some of the shots, it's like they steal it directly.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch this once it becomes available.
And I definitely want to watch the whole thing because, one, it wasn't optimal viewing experiences. Two, I only saw half of it.
Right.
I did really like all the stuff. There's a goat, and I'm really into that.
Cool. Well, I guess once that comes out, we can check it out. But before then, let's make that money. All right, now we're going to dig into the meat, the goo, and the viscera in a section we call Enough is a Myth.
No. I've done enough.
Enough is a myth.
All right. Got a couple questions here. You wrote 2 of them. I wrote 1 of them. And your first one was, if you were any one of these college kids, in which way would you die? Now, I'm going to let you answer that first.
I really feel like I'm going to trip and fall right into that wood chipper. Because that would be the most absurd thing. So that is absolutely the way I would go. Just like, how did you manage that? I'm always like, I don't know.
I have been referred to as extremely clumsy, so I would probably be trying to talk my friends down and going, this has to be a huge misunderstanding, and while I'm doing that, I would probably somehow find a way to accidentally die, like falling into a pit of spikes or something like that. So not something specifically from the movie, but something that could happen in the movie.
Oh yeah, I'm going to trip on something. I'm going to run into a door frame, a door handle.
I'm going to drop my keys, and when I go to pick them up, I lose my balance, and I fall down the side of a hill, and I get banged up. And then when I land at the bottom, I think I'm fine, and then a rock shifts underneath me, and I drown.
And that's it?
Yeah.
And then you won.
All right, question number 2. What genre would you like to see get the Tucker and Dale treatment?
I was thinking of this in not like scary movie.
This doesn't feel like a parody.
Yes,
the way
that's the
Scary
word.
Movie does. It feels like a loving satirical homage,
Yes.
which I feel like I sounded pretentious saying that, but it's also accurate.
Correct. On both fronts. So, I don't know. Do a hair flip and go, I don't care.
I did actually just do a hair flip, listeners. My hair is getting so long, it's ridiculous. I'm finally becoming the mermaid I want to be. I can almost get it down to my boobs, and it's becoming unmanageable because I don't know what to do with it. Anyway.
I had a really hard time answering my own question. You know what I actually do think that has enough tropes that you could play with it really well, and can't necessarily think of a movie that has done this with the genre, but like folk horror?
Okay.
I think it would also be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Maybe more like The Little Hours, which has folk horror
I've not
elements.
seen that.
Oh, May, I think you would love it.
Okay. I'll add it to my list.
Everyone wants to bang. There's lesbian content, nuns, witches.
That's the one with Aubrey Plaza,
yes.
right? Okay. Yeah. I would like to watch that. Okay, so full core, that would be interesting to get the Tucker and Dale treatment. I think it would be fun to see road trip horror get this kind of treatment. So not going to a cabin in the woods vacation, but the standard road trip horror where things happen along the way. You pick up an unexpected passenger, something like that. And maybe it's from the point of view of the unexpected passenger. There are a lot of ways that you could play with that subgenre that I think would be really interesting.
I like that. Yes.
Thank you. All right. And then question 3, this is the one I wrote. When have you misjudged someone based on a first impression and been surprised by them later?
Oh, all the time, probably.
That's fair. I mean,
I don't want to know you.
Sometimes you trust your instincts and they lead you in the wrong direction, and you are allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to be like, oh, I was wrong about that. And I think that's a big facet of being an adult, is being able to admit when you have made a mistake and taking accountability for it. So I get it.
Yeah, I think so, dear listeners. Dear listeners, very after dark.
Welcome to Pleasers and Punishers After Dark. As if we need an after dark to be naughty.
I'm talking about movie thruples. Because I moved around a lot growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I've met so many people for the first time. It's in some ways like a defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of be like, I'm not necessarily going to get to know everyone because, have I been burned and taken advantage of and so on and so forth. Trying to make friends. So we'll see how this goes.
So for me, this usually happens in the sense that I give people the benefit of the doubt and then they burn me later. So rather than distrusting someone at first and then them turning out to be great, because I don't usually distrust people. I want to see the best in people. And this has happened a lot with dating, where I will believe what someone puts on their dating app profile, and I will have conversations with them about relationship expectations leading up to and on a first date. And people have just regularly lied to me about shit in those instances where I've been very clear. I want a relationship. I don't do casual. I want to be able to spend time with you at least once a week. I want to be able to be kitchen table. So if I have other partners, we can all spend time together. My close friends are basically platonic partners. You need to be okay with them and spending time with them and me talking about other people a lot. I know exactly what I want out of a relationship, and I think most people don't. And me being so upfront and honest about those things, it seems to put people in a position where they think they have to conform to those expectations. And so they lie to themselves and thus lie to me about them, rather than just being like, oh, that's not going to work for me. And then we can be like, okay, let's be occasional hangout friends, or I'm not interested in a friendship with you. And then we part ways and no one's upset. But instead, people pretend they want what I want. And then I go on a few more dates with them, sometimes for a couple months we date, and then they take the mask off and they're like, oh, actually this is what I want and it's not compatible with what you want. And I'm like, why didn't you just say that? Like, just fucking be honest.
It drives me nuts. It's so much easier. I know, like, sometimes telling the truth, don't worry about hurting me. Like, with...
Right, you're going to hurt me a lot more if you're not honest right away.
Right? Because
And
now I feel
people
duped
don't
and
seem to get
swindled.
that. Exactly. So that's where it frustrates me the most. But you know what's not frustrating? Games. So we're going to decide how to categorize this movie in our next section. Let's play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
All right, Caitlin. Is this a pleaser, a punisher, or a kinky queer movie? Or some combination of those?
It's not very queer, I will say that.
I mean, you know, they have that queer platonic partner vibe, and it's not an overtly queer movie.
Yes.
I will
yes.
give you that.
I guess that is what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pleaser. It's,
Oh, yeah.
I can't really imagine a world unless you don't like horror movies or have no idea what the references are, maybe. But even then, I think it's funny enough that you would like it. So maybe you just don't like fun, and I am so sorry.
Mm-hmm. I have used this as a gateway horror movie for quite a few people because even if you don't know all the tropes, even if you don't know all the references that it's making to past horror films, you can just enjoy it for what it is, a fun, bloody time. It's not upsetting. It's not dark. I mean, it has a couple moments where it touches on some dark subject matter, but it's not your typical horror movie. It is much more of a gory comedy that has horror elements in it. And so it's a really good entry point for people who are not sure if they like horror, as long as they like fun. And if you don't like fun, what is your life?
I am so sorry for you. Those of you out there who do not have fun. Because I have a blast. Because the world is on fire.
How about yours?
Woo!
That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. All right, before I get murdered by someone who hates me for reciting the lyrics for Smash Mouth's All-Star, any final thoughts on this movie, Caitlin?
If you haven't seen it and you listen to this, you should definitely watch it. It's a good time. And if you're a horror movie fan, unless you are one of those people who is legitimately like, I don't like my horror to mix with anything else, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. As I've said multiple times, I love this movie. I finally got it on Blu-ray recently, and I got the Steelbook. And I don't normally like Steelbooks, but the artwork on it is incredible. And I didn't realize it's the same artwork that's on the poster that I got from the Music Box several months back when they were doing a poster sale. And I now have it hanging in my room. It is gigantic. I love it. It's an illustration of Tucker and Dale and a bunch of dead bodies with body parts flying around. It's great. So, yeah, this is absolutely my favorite horror comedy. I have a great time every time I watch it. And it's so fun to watch in a group.
You just get to delight in some of the worst douchebags getting murdering themselves. Technically, murdering themselves.
These college kids keep killing themselves.
Over property.
Right. Well, I think we can say this is unequivocally a pleaser. And on that note, let's wrap up with what awaits us next time.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police, not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
All right, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey, fellow travelers. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and a review wherever you can because it helps more people find the show and it makes us all tingly inside. You can find us on Instagram at Pleasers and Punishers, and on Blue Sky at Pleasers Punishers. You can also email us at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. You can find my music on Bandcamp and streaming services as Everson Poe, 2 separate words, and you can hear me on Tender Subject and Slayerfest 98. Caitlin, where can everyone find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Caitlin of the North, Caitlyn of the North, on Instagram and Blue Sky. And then on Letterboxd, I am Cat of the North. My name was too long.
All right. And next week's episode will be on Sean Byrne's The Loved Ones, an Australian horror gem from 2009. Peek behind the curtain, we're recording these episodes out of order, so we actually recorded that episode several weeks ago, and we're recording this after our episode that was after that, which I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. But
surprise!
We had a great discussion about it. I can tell you that because I already know, so I hope you all enjoy it. And until then, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries, and if it helps, think of them like moving 2x4s.